Okay, so on this episode I'm going to show you how to print maps from the WDFW Go Hunt app. There are two particular background layers that I like to use when printing maps that I'm going to use in the field, or maps that I might give to a hunting buddy or leave at home with somebody who's going to keep track of where I'm at, and just in case I don't come back on time, they can report my approximate whereabouts to the proper authorities. So let's say I've selected or narrowed down my area I'm going to hunt to this particular area you see on the screen. First, I'm going to want to turn on the background images. Now, when you are zoomed in at a fairly tight on a tight space, there's a couple different options that come up. There's a color and black and white orthos, and orthos is just ortho imagery, which is high resolution satellite imagery. And color orthos is the most useful to the hunter because it gives you an idea of what type of vegetation that you might see. So you want to select that first and redraw the map. And it may take a little bit to write all that data to the screen, but once you do, you'll get a really nice imagery of the area that you're going to hunt. Okay, now in order to print this at the scale that you have, you just go to Tools, scroll down to Print Map, and you have two options here. There's one that can preserve the scale, but I often find that by preserving the scale, you often reduce the quality of the image and the size of the image that you're printing. So I usually end up using the preserve extent scale because I want to fit it to usually an 8.5 by 11 standard size piece of paper that I can slide into a waterproof container or something like that. So you just select which scale you want to print at, and once you do that, it'll retrieve a map for you that you can print using your at-home printer, or you can print it to a PDF and take that into someplace like Kinko's or something like that and have it printed off. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to do that. Alright, so here you go. When you would print this, you would get the image that has all the layers that you had turned on there. So in this case, it has the road files and the imagery, and you also get a legend off to the right. Okay, and when you're done with that, you can press close, and it takes you back so you don't lose any data. You don't want to close out the Go Hunt app itself. Another useful background image is the USGS topo maps, which gives you an idea of the elevation, and also is easier to see some of these roads that you have projected on your map. So again, if you just redraw your map with the USGS topo imagery on there, you get a good idea of what's going on out on the landscape as far as the topography. Okay, and if you wanted to print that, you would just use the same process that I laid out earlier. Now, a pretty useful thing for hunters is when you look at these maps, you do have some idea of scale. Down here on the bottom you see the scale, but often we have an idea of where we want to camp or where we want to hunt. And there's a great little tool for this. You can use this little measuring tool. So if you make sure that's selected, you select on your starting point. Let's say I have to park here at this gate, and I'm going to walk down this ridge to here. If you just give it a little bit of time, it'll write in the path that you did, and it gives you a measurement right here. So that's about 2,666 feet. And then let's say I want to walk down this ridge and maybe check out this area by this lake, and maybe walk out to this point here and work my way back around. So you can see just these segments right here add up to 1.26 miles. So this gives you a good idea of how far you're going to have to walk, or it might be a good way to show a path for a hunting buddy. If you're going to tell them where you're going to meet him at, you can do that. And just like any other layer that you would turn on here, if you go to print map, it will preserve the line segments that you laid down for measuring out, so that your buddy can print this out and he can have a pathway to your campground or your hunting area. So that's just another cool, useful tool that comes along with this WDFW Go